Hello?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
perfect. Yay!
Oh,
Now it
yeah.
works. Awesome. Okay, I was just talking into the void. I'm sure you didn't hear anything I said. Thank you so much for, this really last minute Zoom interview. There's so much going on, and I really have been wanting to speak to a poll worker for a while. And when I
Okay.
saw it on your story, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go reach out to him. And of course, you were busy, I'm sure, super busy yesterday. So I was like, I'm going to give it a day. So
Yeah.
that's why I messaged you right away this morning to see if you were free to talk today. So thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Can you actually go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. I'm Salvador Mares. I currently work right now as a teacher assistant in Berwyn School District 98 as a for special ed students, and then I'm also a grad student at Northeastern Illinois University. I'm in the College of School Counseling, and I worked the election yesterday on November 3rd as a poll worker.
Nice. And is that your first time working as a poll worker?
For an American election, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So the first one I worked was last, no, sorry, yeah, 2019. Back in March of 2019, I
Mhm.
have a friend who's Ecuadorian,
Mhm.
and then when like the week of, he reached out to me. He's like, hey, like the presidential elections for Ecuador are going to be happening this Sunday, and we need volunteers. Like, would you like to help out? And I said, yeah, sure. And he's like, yeah, basically, it's going to be like registering the people, kind of the same thing as anyone would do, like to go vote. Just
Mhm.
people, do that, check in the people to go vote. And I'm like, okay, cool. So yeah, so I went, and then that was my first American one, I should say.
So you did the Ecuadorian elections here in the United States?
Yeah. So
Oh,
like
you did it
normally,
at a consulate?
yeah, no, not the consulate, no. So how they did it before was before they used to do it at a specific church. I don't know where, but they did it at a church, and then it didn't do it at the consulate. I think maybe it was an option, but honestly, I don't know. But the location that I went to last year was at Northeastern Illinois University. So that's where I did it at.
Wow. How did that compare to the American or the American poll worker experience?
Yeah.
Working in American poll.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the first thing is a language thing, obviously.
Mhm, of
With the Ecuadorian one, it was just purely Spanish.
course.
Um, as opposed to like I did speak a little bit of Spanish to some because I had like a little like um lanyard that says like hablo español. So I did help out some people who needed it, the language part. The only difference is that there's like more rules. I can say obviously like we're not more rules, but like there's more guidelines. As opposed to the Ecuadorian one. I think they were just kind of happy with whichever volunteers they were able to get. But like here, for example, like they said, okay, like people work in the polls, like let's say for like a precinct, there's 5 people, but of those 5 people, 2 have to be one party, and then the 3 have to be the other party.
Oh,
It's
really? I
yeah.
didn't actually know that. That's really interesting.
I didn't know that either until like I was doing like my training. I
Mhm.
was like seeing the guidelines and stuff, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like okay,
Yeah.
that's just like thing.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So you had worked at the Ecuadorian elections last year, which in itself
Mhm.
is a totally different experience because of course the language barrier and with the pandemic and everything that's going on right now, I feel like there was also that added pressure. I know I was reading a lot of articles that said that for a lot of poll workers, they're typically over the age of 65 and that there was actually a shortage of poll workers. Did you sense any of that in your precinct?
Um, yes. So, I mean, just from my experience, like having to go vote in the past, I've always noticed that it is people who are like senior citizens, over 65. And then so like the office that I worked at, the polling place was actually they combined 2 precincts. So it was like, one like the one I worked on was precinct 20, and the other one that we shared it with was precinct 6.
I see.
Um, so the team that I was a part of, it was a younger gentleman like my he's like a college student. I'm guessing in his late teens, early mid 20s, and then it was these 2 people who were like adults, like in their like 50s, 60s, and then the other precinct team, it was 3 people who were like 3 adults who were like in their 50s, 60s, and then they actually had the younger person was actually a high school student. So people can work, like high school students can work, but there's certain requirements they need to meet. Like they have to be like, they have to have a high GPA. I think they have to be 17, going to be close to turning 18, not just turn 17, or they can be already 18, you know? So there was some requirements for that.
Right. Okay. So then you kind of you said you only had 5 poll workers at your location.
Yeah, yeah, five, but then one didn't show up. So that was the so yeah,
Oh,
so that's the thing too. So like sometimes people like don't show up, and then like from what I was like reading when I was like doing my reading the regulations and stuff and the rules for training, they said if someone doesn't show up, you can either call like a number like to get like a walk up poll worker, you know, they can get someone out to you, you know. So it's just there's all these like there's a lot of interesting things that you don't know behind the scenes because like you know like
mhm.
it's just you know like a lot of thought goes into you would think not a lot of thought would go into, you know.
I mean, I remember I was like, maybe I could be a poll worker this year. And I know that there's different, like also being a poll worker, there's different roles that I read that you can also take on. And some of them may require more training. Ultimately, it didn't work out for me because I had moved and I wasn't registered in my poll location. So I didn't get to do it. But that is really interesting because I mean, if I hadn't checked or if I hadn't been interested in applying, I wouldn't have known that it was, that people have different roles and that having one person would totally, kind of make things a little more unbalanced.
So yeah, it was so no one ended up coming. It was just us four, you know.
Okay.
And it was because the thing too was that like we had to so like the polling place that I was working at yesterday, it was used as also an early voting site for the town of
Mhm.
Cicero. It was one of the two locations. So they said like it's like because like one thing was like when I finished my training, I got my certificate that said like I'm a poll worker, and then they said someone should be reaching out to you soon. And I was like, okay. And then I got a notification on a little like on the little like website where I'm registered that says, oh, like you have this assignment, accept it. So I accepted it. And then I didn't like hear back from anyone. So then I have a friend of mine who also like I talked into like doing this. But he was working in Berwyn. And he said, hey man, like no one's called you. I'm like, no. He's like, okay, well like someone called me, blah blah. So but check on your profile for the poll workers because it gives you a list of who's gonna be working that day for the precinct.
Mhm.
So I called like the head election judge, and then I called her. It was on Halloween. I called her, and then she's like, "Oh hi, I didn't know you were assigned to my team." She's like, "Thank you for letting me know because I thought it was gonna be like four then instead of five, you
Oh,
know." So she said, "Do you know where this location's at?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, well meet me there on Monday at 7 o'clock. You
mhm.
know, meet me there at 7 o'clock on Monday." So we can just help set up. And I thought, okay. And I know that was like an early voting site. So I thought, okay, probably just gotta like move tables around and that's it. You know, that's what I thought. And you get to know each other and that's it. But no, like we get there, and then there were still people like obviously in line to vote because I got there like at like 6:50, and the lady who I reported to, she said we have to wait until everyone votes, and then the people who are working the early voting site, they have to pack up all the polls that are here, like everything. She's like, we have our own equipment we have to set up and use. And I was like, what the? Like, I thought it was just, I thought it was just a universal thing. We have to all use the same equipment. But apparently that's not the case. We have to set up our own, all the equipment, you
Right.
know?
Oh,
And
so you really were just working for election day, or did you say early voting as well? I might have
no, just election day.
just election day. So that was an option though, right? You could have worked for the old early voting dates.
No, not that I, no, not that was an option because when I applied for it, it just said like, it was only advertised as like election day.
Is there any major challenges that you experienced while working?
Yeah, the major one was the technology part of it. Because so like how it is at the polling place is that like when you go up there's like two or three computers, like laptops, you know, and each laptop it has like the database of the precincts of the people who are registered to vote. So we had two, and we have like a little router that gives out the signal. But my computer was not picking up the Wi-Fi like at all. It was not picking it up. Like I kind of had to keep troubleshooting it.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, for like the first I don't know like 40 to 45 minutes to like an hour, I couldn't register anyone to come. So I couldn't register anyone to sign in to vote. So
Mhm.
like we were a little bit backed up. And then like we tried calling the tech support. And they asked me, "Did you do this? Do this?" I'm like, "Yes, I did all these steps." And they're like, "Okay, well, like, unfortunately, this is like what they said was you're not the first people that this issue's happening to. Unfortunately, for some odd reason, because every precinct got like two computers,
Mhm.
they said that one of the computers is failing while the other one is actually working. So that was kind of like
I
an
see.
odd thing. Yeah, they're like, you're not the only one. And I was like, okay. I
Hmm.
mean, this is. They're like, yeah, but like, just keep trying. It's gonna eventually connect, but just keep at it. And I was like, okay. So there was some relief from like, okay, I'm not the only one that's this is happening. But it was kind of like odd. We're like, okay, like, why is one working and the one's not working?
So you guys were given like a Wi-Fi modem, so you weren't using the buildings?
Yeah, we
Or
weren't using buildings. Yeah, like those little hotspots that
yeah,
yeah, we were using those.
that is so interesting. I didn't realize that. Okay, gotcha.
You
Wow. And was it really packed? Was it like what was the I don't want to say audience, the traffic like
Yeah, the
precinct?
traffic. Yeah, so it was actually it wasn't as much as I expected it to be honest. It came in waves. I can say that's a better way to explain it. It came in waves. There was like the morning rush, then it like died out a little bit, but like people kept coming during the non-busy hours, you can say. And then I was expecting it to be like busy after 5 o'clock, like lines out the door on the building, but it really wasn't like that. It was like a nice steady flow of traffic just coming in,
Mhm.
and then people just like it just kind of got more like to the wire when it was the last 20 minutes, because the polls closed at 7, so like
Right.
6:40 and on people were coming in.
Mhm.
And then there's some people who weren't registered yet, or they were at the wrong precinct because I guess a lot of people were confused that because the building that I was at, it was since people know it as the early one and anyone from can go vote there.
Mhm.
They're like, oh, but like this person that I know came here yesterday to vote and they live in over here. And I had explained to them, I'm like, yes, I understand that, but that's because it was an early voting site. I'm like, when it's an early voting site, anyone can come. But
Yeah.
on election day, you have to go to your actual, precinct. And then fortunately, what we can do is we can print the address out for them. So
Oh.
I gave it to all the people that that wanted it. Some knew where to go. So I was like, okay, if you know where to go, then that's fine. But if they didn't know where to go, I gave it to them. Um, and then so that was the thing. So there were some people who were like, if you can make it in the next 15 minutes to that place, go. That was the only thing I felt bad for those people. Was that
Mhm.
miscommunication.
Was it if you go and you're in line, I mean, you essentially still get your vote counted as long as you're there before closing time, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
correct. As long as you're in line, yes. And then also, there's if there was somebody who was like they all come over into one at one point. But I also saw something that like if you vote like after 7, while you're in line, you
Mhm.
have to do it a different way. Like you have to put it in a specific envelope.
Actually, a question that I'm gonna backtrack a little bit because I realized I didn't ask you this. What was the reason that you decided to become a poll worker?
Yeah. Well, the main reason was because it sounds silly, but like I was like I kind of need extra cash. You know what I mean? I need
Totally.
extra cash. Yeah. So like I was actually it was like I was about to go to bed. Like this was like month. This is like what maybe late September, early October. It was kind of like it was late. I was going to sleep already. I was just kind of scrolling on my phone, and like on the top of Facebook, it said because like Facebook has been posting like a lot of like political stuff lately at the top, like oh like are you registered to vote, all these things, and one of them was like are you interested in being a poll worker in your local precinct or whatever, and I was like and I kind of in the back of my mind I always wanted to do it, but I didn't know like how do you go about it. I kind of always assumed or thought it was more like jury duty, like if you get called to
Mhm.
that's what I thought it was like. And then I kind of just read it, and it said, due to the pandemic, a lot of the majority of the people who work it are senior citizens, are people at this certain age, and there's not a lot of young people that do it. So and I was like, okay, and I'm like, okay, well they're in shortage. And like my thing is I like to help out. So I was like, okay, like they're short on people, so let me apply. And they said like only spaces are limited. So I'm like, okay, let me just give it a shot. And then So I did that, and then I reached out to a few friends of mine that were like maybe that I knew who maybe might need extra cash or something, or who might enjoy it. I reached out to a few friends, and I just wanted to apply too, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I applied for it, and then I honestly thought it was gonna take like maybe a week or a few days until I heard back from them.
Hmm.
But I got accepted within like within a day. It could have been like even hours, but like just to give you an idea, like I filled out the application like at 8 o'clock at night. The next day, like at 12 or 1 in the afternoon, I got accepted. So it was like just a matter of, you know.
Wow. So it actually wasn't even that. It was a pretty fast process then.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, nice. Do you think this is something you'd want to do again in the future?
Yeah, most definitely. I enjoyed it. That was like the one thing, like that was the one thing I was kind of thinking about. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I want to do this again, and I was like, okay, it's not. It's because I was just kind of comparing it to like the Ecuadorian one. Um, like there, it was like that one was kind of like nonstop. It was like overwhelming. I would say I was more busy at that one than I was for this one. You
Hmm.
know.
And how
Um,
many volunteers were at the Ecuadorian um, poll site?
I'd say maybe about 20, you know, but they had them in different areas, you know,
Mhm.
like, and then also like they were rotating people, you know, so or like they said, okay, only like these people can be outside when people come in to register to sign in, and then only these people can be inside the polling area. These people can be like, you know, doing this. So it just and then like they varied, and also some of them too were actually employees from the consulate as well. So it
Mhm.
was a good mix.
After you finished the poll site, after being surrounded, or really just working the poll site and kind of knowing the back end of it, did you tune in right away to see, what the results
Oh
were?
yeah.
Or were you kind of just like, I'm over this,
No, I actually I was following it up all night, and then my anxiety was like through the roof and everything,
yeah,
you know. To the point where like I couldn't like I kept telling myself, okay, I'm gonna shut this off. I'm gonna focus doing this, but then like after 5 minutes, I'm like, I gotta find
I
out what's
know
happening.
that was all of us. Yeah, yeah.
And then honestly, to be honest, I was because like just seeing how like certain states were at first, I was like, oh my gosh, you know.
Hmm.
You know, like Trump's gonna win, because how they were talking about like how like there were some key Midwest states, and I was like, oh my gosh, these states are like gonna win, you know, or he's gonna win them. And so I was like, okay, so I drink a beer, I went to sleep, and I called it a night. And then I was actually gonna consider calling off of work today, only because of like it was just too much to handle. Like I needed like a personal like mental health day just to you know take off, just so I can like, you know take care of myself. Um, and then this morning when I woke up, like I saw like I thought to myself, okay, I'm gonna wake up and he's gonna be the winner again, you know. But then I saw that like that Michigan, no, Wisconsin was like slightly turning blue, and
Yeah.
that was like optimism, and I'm like, okay, okay. And then like I thought to myself, I'm like, all right, like I gotta go to work. Only not for me, but for like the students I work with, you
Hmm.
know, because I thought to myself, like I don't know how their lives are, you know, at home, you know, but who knows like how this, you know, like how negatively this election can impact their life, you know, and like what stress it can bring onto their family, you know. They're little kids, but like they, you know, like kids understand feelings and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I thought like, okay, like I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go to work, and I'm gonna be there for my kids, for the students, you know,
Right.
and that's what helped push me to get up and go, you know, to work.
Well, yeah, I mean, it totally would have been valid, but it sounds like I'm really glad that you still decided to really show up and be there for your students. Is it something you guys talked about or I guess in class and today?
Um, no, not really. We haven't really talked about it. The kids, what they more talk about is just like the pandemic and COVID-19,
Hmm.
you know, because they say we say because like for example like we have like a health unit we're working on with the kids like health class, and we talk about the importance of washing hands, you know, like you know put the pandemic aside, you know, it's a not it's obviously a good healthy practice to wash your hands, and we're teaching the kids that. But then all the kids are like, we gotta wash your hands because of the, you know, coronavirus, and then like we're like, yeah. And then some say, you know, we got to use hand sanitizer. They don't say hand sanitizer. They say we got to use hand sanitizer because
Oh,
it's cute. But like we gotta use this, and then like kids are like, we can't go outside because we'll die. So like they know. I mean, yeah.
Mm,
So a lot of these kids, like, I think they they are more worried about the pandemic than they were the elections. I
yeah.
think I'm pretty sure that kids are aware of like that age because I work with second and third graders.
Mm,
Like and like, I'm just thinking like when I was their age, like I knew who Bill Clinton was. I didn't know his name, but I remember seeing him on TV. You
mm,
know, so
mm.
like I'm sure these kids know like about who the president is. But I don't think they know like too much into like like maybe they do know, maybe they don't know. It depends on what they see at home, what they hear from their parents.
Right.
Like I don't want to sound all cheesy, but like but it's rewarding because like it's like okay, I'm doing like civic duty.
Mm.
I got cheesy with my friends. I told them, hey guys, I enlisted to serve my country. They're like, what? I'm like, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. You know, they're like, they were scared for a second because they're like, what the heck, dude? But I'm like, no.
Mhm.
But no, but like, it was rewarding because especially I'm just gonna mention this one little cheesy part where like it was like my lunch break yesterday.
Mm.
So I went outside to my car just to eat my lunch there, and just listen to like the radio just to see what they were saying. I was listening to like NPR and stuff. But yeah, then like they were saying like and one part of it they had like sound bites and clips from when the president elects like won the election. So they had it starting back as far as Clinton when he won, then they had Obama, then they had Bush, and then they had like sorry, they had Clinton, Bush, Obama, and then Trump. You know, and then out of all of them, the one that like really always stuck out to me was like the Obama one.
Mm.
Only apart from him being like our first black president. But also because I got to meet him at a very young age. Like I met him
Nice.
when I was in eighth grade, and he was a congressman running for senator. Like I met him. I met him on Columbus Day. Back then, Columbus Day. I met him downtown at like the Columbus Day parade. So I took a picture with him. He was a really nice guy, and just like seeing like that progress from like him, like being like local politician to like the White House. It was a pretty cool thing. And
Mhm.
then like I'm not gonna lie, like I got like little tears in my eyes, but also because like no, but also because like I was just thinking too like of like my family, you know,
Mhm.
because also because of just like the whole topic of like like social injustice, people of color, like all these like systematic racism, everything. Like the good thing about like the school that I work at is that like Mondays we do like workshops and we do like professional development. And then there was one topic a few weeks ago when we had to do like racial people of color training, you know, where they said like, do you see yourself reflected in the history books?
Mhm.
And then like I was like the only Hispanic person there in the little breakout room for the Zoom meeting, and I had said no, and I said like ever since I was a little kid, like I always just learned about like when we learned about like immigration in Ellis Island,
Mhm.
um, like I have classmates who can say, oh, my grandparents came from Czechoslovakia, they came to Ellis Island, all these things, the kids I had growing up, and I never felt like any connection to American history
Mhm.
until about 2012, so like what, 8 years ago. I found out that my grandfather, both my grandfathers, and my paternal, my maternal grandfather, and also my great grandfathers and a few uncles, they came to the United States during the Bracero program when it was World War II, and like the U.S. Hired workers from Mexico to come work while the men went out to war and stuff.
Mhm.
So like learning that like my grandfathers and like my relatives were a part of that, it makes me even now more connected to American history because I can proudly say like my grandfathers were to that.
For
And then
sure.
I just thought of like the struggles that my grandparents had to go through to become citizens. My father, like he came, like he had to walk through the desert and come through a trunk just to come to the United States. My mom had a little easier. She came here when she was a baby. She was born in Mexico, but she came when she was a baby. But like I never got to meet my maternal grandfather. He died when my mom was a little girl. But like one of the things he did before he died was that he promised my grandmother and my mom and my aunts that they're gonna be all American citizens, and he was able to provide it to become American citizens.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so that's just kind of like the little like emotional part that hit me yesterday. It's like, whoa, like kind of like like this is like tides are turning, for people of color in the United States
Did
coming in.
you did you end up telling does your family know that you were a poll worker?
Yeah, they know. I actually had I reached out to my sister about it before because she lives in California now.
Hmm.
But like yeah, like she's been there for like the last few years now. But she worked as a poll worker in California for and it wasn't a primary, it was just more like a general, like it was like election for like local California election, I guess for like senators and governors and all that fun stuff. Or governor, no. Um, but I asked her how it was, how it went, and she said, yeah, I mean, she's like, it's kind of a customer service job. It's like she's like, I worked a few days, but you can only work one day. And she
Hmm.
told me how it is, and she said, and I was worried. I was thinking not to do it at first, only because like the pandemic. That was like the main reason why I didn't want to do it, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but my sister's like, no, like I don't think like what she said was like, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of people going that day. I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna try to go early voting, And if you do go, you're just probably gonna get those people that have to vote on election day, or you're
Hmm.
gonna get senior citizens that go. But other than that, like I don't think you're gonna have too much issue. And I spoke about it with my girlfriend as well, and then she's like, yeah, do it. Let's just be safe. Just be safe. So like that day, I was wearing my face shield, double masks, kept using sanitizer to the point where like my skin's peeling off now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like my family knows. My mom, she's in Mexico right now, but she texts me. She's like, "Thanks for your service," and I was like, "Oh, geez, Louise."
Something that just also I was just curious about was because when I remember when I did my voting, it prints out and then you like put it into a machine. It's like a fax machine. I mean, I don't know how it actually works. Does it collect the ballots? Like, are you guys pulling anything out, or does it just suck it into a void that counts
Yeah,
all of the
yeah,
votes?
yeah. So what that like? I mean, I'm like, so how it is like it's like that big orange container, that big gray container. So when you put in that little like fax machine thing, it actually, from my understanding, it actually reads the paper ballot.
Hmm.
It actually reads the paper ballots. It reads it, and then honestly, it's just like you can say it's a fax machine on top of a trash can. So it reads it, and then it falls into like little like the bin. But
Hmm.
then at the end of the day, the person who's in charge of that station, they type in some code so they can print out all the ballots that went through, like and including the electronic, because that's connected to the electronic ballots. So it gets all the electronics, and then we open up the bin at the bottom and we get all the paper ballots. We get them all out, and then we separate them because there's the electronic ones and there's the paper ballots. So we
Hmm.
kind of divide them where, okay, all the electronic paper ballots are here, all of the judicial ones are here, and all the general election ones are here. We separate them by category and we just put them all together in one pile, and then we just tie them up. And then the polling tech, that's one of the positions that's there, the poll tech, and also the captain or the leader. They have to deliver those to like a electoral office or something, so they can get officially also counted and handled, and I guess maybe disposed of later, after. But yeah.
Wow. So I didn't realize there was so much manual work relating to counting ballots. That's interesting. And not counting, but I guess collecting all of it. Wow,
Yeah.
got it. So she that or the person who's a leader goes to a different site, and so that person's day continues until she drops it off. I think.
Yeah, correct. Yes, correct. Them and then the polling tech person too. So like from my understanding, I guess they had to go in separate. And maybe I don't know if it was like part of one of the rules, but I know that the tech, he had all the ballots in like a little like traveling luggage. I guess that was provided by the county, by Cook County. But I remember we were leaving the polling office, and she said, "So I'll follow you, or you follow me." And he's like, "Either or." And they're like, "Okay." So then like from there they just told me, "Okay, you're free to go home. We still got to go over here to drop these off." And I'm like, "Okay."
Mhm.
you know so like their day is a little longer. So for example, like I had to get there at 5, but she said I'm gonna be here as early as 4 o'clock or 4:30.
Gosh, wow.
And then like the tech person there as well, like they have to be there as early as 4:30.
Mhm.
And then they have to stay later too.
I learned so much about pole working.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's interesting. If you want to just try, if you want to do it to try, I recommend it. Just just for fun. And
Yeah.
then it was actually cool because this the precinct next to us, this one lady, she was sitting at a table, kind of just helping guide people,
Hmm.
And then it was like towards the end of the day, but this little boy came in with like his Wolverine claws. I'm guessing he was Wolverine for Halloween or something.
Hmm.
But he comes in and then he's voting. His mom is voting, and he's just walking around. And the lady's like, "Do you want something?" And I'm looking. I'm like, maybe she's gonna give him a candy or something or a sticker, that says future voter.
Hmm.
But then like I noticed she like whipped out a pump and she starts like making like inflating a balloon. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, this lady's
That's
like doing
cool.
balloon animals over here. So she made him a sword.
Oh, nice. Wait, who is a random person?
No, she was one of the poll workers.
Oh, okay.
So I guess like just for fun, she just like I guess I mean who knows why she learned it or how what's the story behind it. But
Interesting.
she just like and she's like, here you go. And I was like, that's so cool. Like for kids that come, we didn't have a lot of kids that showed up. Like I kind of say that maybe like 10 kids, like maybe even less than 10 kids were there the whole day.
This gentleman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Aw. Well, yeah, thank you so much for again taking the time to speak with me. I
Yeah,
know you must be exhausted. I mean, I know you worked all day yesterday and then you worked today. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, thank you so much for joining me in this conversation.
yeah.
Any final statements for La Chamba fam?
Yeah, of course. Chamba fam. You know, this is the plug I'm gonna do. First of all, if you thought about doing it in the past, just do it. Look, like find out what county you live in, you know, and then just kind of like go from there. Like see like how to be a poll worker, or just Google like how to be a poll worker in Cook County or DuPage County or Kane County, or any county you live in, wherever you're listening to from this, on this. But I advise you to do it. It's a good feeling, and also just to get like the younger generation out there to vote. It's always it's kind of always a struggle sometimes, but just to kind of be more involved, and then it's a good experience. It's fulfilling. It's rewarding. It's exhausting. You're gonna have people that come and give you attitude. I had people that gave me attitude, but I cook them with kindness, so that's fine with me. But yeah, that's just that. I'd say do it, and then for the younger generations to come out and do it even more.
Hmm. And the only prerequisite is that you need to be well, if you are not a high school student, if you are over the age of 18, it's just to be a registered voter. Is that correct?
Yes, registered voter. Obviously a citizen of the United States. But you are a registered voter once you are a citizen of the United States. But yeah, those are the things. 18 or over. Um, Live in the county where live in the county, things like that. So yeah, but I mean, also it just depends on which county you're going to be doing it in. But those are the general rules as long as you're a registered voter and 18 and over. You know.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Oh,
Again, thank you.
yeah.
And we will be in touch.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good. Take care, Sam.
You take care. Bye.